Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 115. Hello out there, I'm your host Elliot J. O'Neill, and today's a very special podcast, something that we like to call the second Vignettes of Vignettes. Now, some of you might remember the first Vignettes of Vignettes special that we did in episode 88 of the podcast, but for those that didn't, this is where we review the vignette or anthology episodes of The Simpsons. They're kind of like the Treehouse of Horror episodes, where they tell three separate stories that all share like a thematic element. And as of recording, The Simpsons have done 10 episodes in this style. So, because these episodes work fundamentally differently to a standard show, we felt it necessary to do a special podcast that focuses solely on the vignette episodes, much like how we do special podcasts for Treehouse of Horror. And, as a fun way to match this style, we changed the panel lineup for each episode review. So, later on in the show, we have a very special guest. Jack Picone from the Worst Episode Ever podcast will be joining myself and Jordan. We're going to review the wettest stories ever told. But first, I'm joined by a classic Simpsons Index lineup of BT, Danny, and Jordan, where we review the Simpsons Bible stories. Alright, I think I've done enough preamble now. You're all caught up to speed. There is no need for any more descriptions or introductions. Let's get into it. Without further delay, let's get it started. Welcoming you to the second Vignettes of Vignettes. And you guys remember the last time we got you one for those? And
I remember.
Danny, we did you the Love Springfieldian style.
I remember most of it.
Was that one of the ones where you listened back to the podcast and was like, I know I reviewed this episode, but I don't remember it?
It had been a while between... I have not forgotten the Ramones thing, though. That was great. And how much I didn't like, and you did like the fucking Disney dog. What's the Disney dog called?
Oh,
Aristocats.
Lady the Tramp.
All of those. It looked good, and the story is fine.
They put Goofy in a gas chamber.
That was very not good.
Yeah.
And Jordan, we got you on last time for the Fight Before Christmas.
Yeah, that has the distinction of being the one HD episode that I've seen twice.
Still very sorry about that.
So that means you've seen Mo go down on Katy Perry twice now.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, congratulations.
The conjugal bliss of puppet on human sex, yeah.
God, that review.
One day your therapist will hear about that.
So those were two very ordinary episodes, very bad vignette episodes. So I thought, as a treat for you guys who have put up with a lot of bad, I'd sort of give you a good one today. So just then we covered the Teens Era episode. This was Season 10, Episode 18, The Simpsons Bible Stories. First released in April of 1999, it was directed by Nancy Kruse, her first directing credit for The Simpsons, and it was written by, and in order of the segments, Tim Long, Larry Doyle, and Matt Selman. In this episode, you know this one, this is almost a classic era episode. It's The Simpsons Bible Stories. Guys, what'd you think?
It's some fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Wasn't as good as I remembered or as bad as I was worried about.
Yeah.
Sat somewhere in the cozy middle.
Yeah, it
Somewhere
was
in the middle.
It was one of those ones where when the classic lines came along, instead of like a laugh, I was more of a, yes.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
I have quoted that verbatim over the years.
I recollect this line.
I agree with you. It wasn't as good as I remember it being. There's certainly a lot of memorable moments in it. So we don't structure the questionnaire normally around these vignettes because the episodes do function pretty differently. So we're doing an abbreviated questionnaire today. But yeah, first of all, the framework. What'd you guys think of that?
Yeah, quick, simple, effective.
That's it. Made sense. It's a great way to set up a bunch of different episodes. It's the dream sequence. I feel like they've done a vignette episode where it's just like they're all asleep in the house and it focuses on each one's dream within their own bedroom. It's the same thing, right? It's like...
Oh, yeah, like the Treehouse of Horror.
This had the added context of all being, biblical stories.
Yeah.
But then stylistically a bit different.
And then a nice little framework with the heat and whatever, driving everybody to be more tired.
I do really like the melting Easter bunny.
Yeah, great follow-on gag.
Great way to show the passage of time. And,
and just how just uncomfortable it is.
Yeah, because everyone's looking a little bit more disheveled as well as the time goes on. And fucking Flanders makes him turn off the fans.
Yeah, pretty
I really liked
awful.
them. Lovejoy's trail on gags. The great drill of Hesbathia. Boring. Boring.
Into the rock of injustice.
Boring.
Boring.
God can't hold a grudge, right? And forever and ever and
ever.
Page turn.
And
ever. And his finger moves as he's counting the words.
Reminds me a lot of years later we get the Garth Marenghi joke. Blood, blood, blood. blood.
And bits of sick.
Yeah.
One of my favorite gags from this as well is when Bart's falling asleep and like Marge's hair like flops down and he
Yep.
uses it as a pillow. It looks so comfy.
It does.
Yep.
Hair is not comfy. It gets up your nose and your eyes.
Oh, it's not, but the fictionalized cartoon version is.
It's like clouds. They're, you know, you put your arm through them, but in cartoons.
Yeah,
marshmallows.
Cartoon clouds.
Yeah, we better move on from the framework anyway, but there is a little bit more to talk about it, but I think would be appropriate to talk about it at the end.
I concur.
Okay, so the first fantasy, Marge, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden.
Which
Thoughts?
I wrote Homer and Marjorie.
Ah, nice.
It was not good, and they only get worse from here.
I feel like this is maybe the most iconic for some reason for
Yeah.
me.
Homer and Marge as Adam and Eve.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, like the Flanders god arm with the sweater and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah. Like, this is the one I remember best out of the three, I feel.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from this in terms of quotes is definitely the sassy pig.
Yeah. Oh, I love Food Pig.
Today I'm offering mouth-watering pork ribs. Tuck in then.
The Foley on him reaching in and like
Yeah.
snapping off
It's just
the
how
ribs.
horrible it sounds.
Man.
It's just like, oh, he gave one whole rib and still standing while Aunt with the plucky one.
Yeah,
With a
that's
plucky
great.
one.
What a bitch.
I like the idea that God was just tired of his sass, so that's why pigs are mute now.
Yeah.
Good morning, Homer. More bacon for you then? I want someone to ask that to me every morning.
Especially while dispensing it from their own body.
Yeah.
Oh, horrifying. Poor little Gary, the unicorn.
Yeah,
Oh,
you feel-
what have they
Oh.
done to you, Gary? Is yeah.
And yeah, he died just outside the Garden of Eden. Oh, if only they pushed him back in
Yeah.
before. Oh. Well,
guy.
that's why we don't have unicorns, I suppose. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. It had some of my favorite gags as well, and also some of my favorite playing with the old story.
Yeah, I'm stunned this is a Tim Long. Like,
Mm.
that redeems like a 1% of his billions and billions of debt. But,
He's still in the negative
oh,
percentage.
yeah, but
bracket.
hey, it's slowly coming back.
He's like the Christopher Skase of Simpsons writing credit.
Yeah.
He's just taken everything away.
I always remembered Homer high diving off the waterfall. That sticks with me.
Oh, he gets a lot of back injuries in this
Yeah.
thing. Well, he didn't get one then, because
No.
still inside the Garden of Eden.
It's still got that great Foley splattering
Yeah.
sound effect. Like, ooh.
He really hits those rocks with a.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
with a
this must
whack.
be that pain thing I heard about.
Oh yeah.
Definitely pain. But yeah, some great little quick one-liners. Looking through it, I think this one is just the strength of its one-liners. It just kind of swings from one of those to the other. Because
Yeah.
plot-wise, there's not a lot going on, but it's also a vignette. You don't have a lot of time to really get into anything.
Yeah.
You got stuff like,
Yeah.
I really like, well, some general interest magazines would be nice.
Yeah.
It's just people. It's just
Those two, the only people.
And yeah, you can, and it's in a stack, and they're all
Yeah.
in the same color, so you can tell it's just the
It's
same
just the
thing.
same episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I like the casting as well. You know, not much casting to do, but yeah, Flanders is God and
Snake is snake.
Snake
Yeah.
is Snake. It makes
Gee.
perfect sense.
How long did they take to come up with that one, do you think?
They took Tim long.
Ooh.
Hey. I was looking at
Yep.
Snake's face though, and I'm like, kind of looks like Mo. But then I realized that yeah, Snake and Mo kind of have that same like
Yeah.
just ugly upper lip kind of
Ooh,
region.
new conspiracy.
Yeah.
Snake and Mo are brothers.
Yes.
Watch this space.
No,
Yep.
Snake and Mo are the same person.
Have you ever seen them in set? Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
Plenty of times.
Yeah, stuff like, well, you're pretty uptight for a naked chick.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
quoted that myself.
But yeah, I like how this story as well really paints how unfair the whole fucking story is to Eve.
Well,
Yeah.
what's interesting is this, and yeah, just to get all biblical on shit, that Eve is not responsible for original sin in this version. So there,
Yeah.
Yeah,
take that,
I feel like-
patriarchy.
they had to do that almost. Though, I mean, if they wrote the episode today, they would definitely have to kind of mix it up a
Yeah,
little
if they
bit.
wrote the Bible today,
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
not get along with that.
Yeah.
a
They
lot
would
way
get
with that.
censored the fuck out. No, I mean Homer is a jerk
Mhm.
in this.
Jerk Ross Adam.
Yeah, jerk ass Adam,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
the original mansplainer.
Ooh, burn.
Oh God.
Watch the space. We'll prove that too. Yeah. Anything else to say about the Adam and Eve section?
Land monster.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
will really spice up those pies I've been making.
Well, what did they call that thing up in the branches? Branch monster. Oh yeah, and spicing up those pies. So
She's been making empty pies.
Or just pies with just more pie inside, but no filling.
It's just all crust.
It's just crust.
Crust pie.
Or like grass.
Oh God.
Or, I guess, pig.
yeah.
I
Plenty
was
of
going to
pigs
say
go around.
the mink massage bit.
Oh, that
The-
looked good.
I didn't say stop. I feel is a joke they've done
Oh, yeah.
before.
Oh, it
several
never stop in
times.
the middle of a hoedown.
Well, I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, but I was thinking I feel like there's I didn't say stop like in another classic-y episode. But
Yeah, it's a tropey joke that they fall back on. It's like, oh, I'm in pain. I didn't say stop. So yeah, I feel like that took away some of the impact of the line. But Having said that, a mink massage looks fucking excellent.
Oh,
It
yeah,
does.
absolutely. There's mention to Applegate as well, and I'm like, did they know today that every scandal would be
have the
called
suffix
Gate?
gate.
Yeah.
I think because even by then, I think we'd had a couple
Yeah.
of gates
Yeah.
spring
Probably.
up post Watergate. So.
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
That's Gates Gate.
Mm.
Not to be confused with his gate, which is a lovely gate.
Oh my, yes.
It's so smooth. It's like he's walking on air.
Oh, that's a gate joke. That's pretty good. Points to this guy.
Oh, okay, we're taking points now. Okay, yep. Oh, Jordan won. You're winning.
All right.
102 podcasts, and we finally have a winner.
There's 300 rounds to go.
Another line I liked was Homer going, "I love you more than the butterscotch pond or the porno bush."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what's in the porno bush
Yeah.
if Eve's the only girl and she's just been invented. What's the
Um,
porno of? Is
pic-
it just porno of Adam?
Pictures
Yeah.
of hands.
It's what Flanders would think is sexy.
Oh.
All right, and last line I have to mention is, should we really be eating this? Well, no, madam. One of the dinosaurs ate one, and that was the last of... Egad!
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I really... the pig was MVP for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Most valuable pig.
Definitely carried the plot. I feel like the problem with my churchy episodes like this is that everyone knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's such a well-established storyline that there's very little they can do to not feel like we're just watching it play out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least they shook it up a little bit with
Yeah, they
you
did.
know-
They did. They had like Homer being at fault and
Mhm.
Eve toiling away, getting busted back in, and but essentially you sort of know what's going to go on, right?
It's still
Yeah.
the Bible
There's
story.
very
in
little
essence,
they
It's
can
more
yeah.
do
about
to
how we get there, though.
I guess so. You're there for the ride.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
And maybe that's why they chose to change it up so much rather than trying to make a joke out of what the actual story is.
Oh, there's dog farts all over me.
And once again, our fifth guest, our most special guest.
Let's hold a microphone up to her butt.
Bella, poodle, so cute.
You want to say something, Bill? Good work.
Our little one-eyed poodle friend coming back again,
Mm-hmm.
podcasting as well as she knows how.
By taking a nap. and
Better than all
farting-
of us.
And farting on Danny.
But I do get what you're saying, because like I always remember as a kid where you'd watch cartoons and they do like these, let's listen to some history stories, like
Yeah.
watching on Widget the World Watcher or something, and
They go through the classic tale, the Napoleon, the Hercules, the
The Goliath.
Goliath.
You watched a lot of Wishbone, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't feel like this one so much, but definitely later Simpsons vignette anthology episodes do just feel like they're going
They just,
through the motions.
yeah, they just hit the beats of whatever story it is. It's like, that's enough, bye.
Yeah,
Mm.
whereas this one, like, I really like the production on this one. That's like going to be big points for me going into rank this thing, is that it looks great.
Yeah, the redesign of each character looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've added in a lot of like little quirky, jokey things, like moving on to the next segment, Lisa's dreaming of the Moses tale. Like just that first establishing shot with all the kids and they're dressed up as the
Israelites.
Israelites.
I wrote down Millsus.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
You're on a
again,
roll today.
I told you it got worse.
But yeah, in that opening shot where they're all playing on the play
I
equipment.
quite like the play equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all Egyptian themed.
Yeah, there was an obelisk tetherball.
Yep.
Yeah, I did like the pyramid jungle
Seesaw,
gym
yeah.
as
Yeah,
well, and the
pyramid
seesaw,
seesaw.
yeah. and the snake slide as
Yeah.
well. It was, it was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I reckon this was probably my favorite segment out of the three.
Yeah, I'd
Was
say
it?
it's,
I mean, that feels like a question mark. Are you asking us if that was your favorite episode?
I'm trailing off so one of you will pick up the conversation ball
Actually, no,
and play with it for a while.
I absolutely think this is probably the best one because the design looks really good. The story has enough momentum and adventure to it. It is a little weird now that we're talking about it that Lisa is not the main character in her own dream sequence. But then I've had dreams like that, so
That would have actually been a lot better to see a gender-flipped Moses.
and I actually kind of really like Skinner as the Pharaoh bad guy in this one. It
I
makes
love-
sense.
Yeah,
'cause that's-
Skinner was great.
yeah, he's the authority figure in their lives, so naturally he becomes the authority figure in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He has some great lines in this one. That calm, steady monotone of his.
yeah, I love the casting in this one, and as well
Definitely.
having Police Chief Wiggum and the rest of the police as his police.
His goons, his henchmen, his
And
police.
Hiya, goons.
His police are the police.
Aw.
But who will police the police?
And slave driver Willie as well.
Yeah.
Good one.
Oh, he noticed my lashing.
Yep. Put away the encouragement whip and get the cruel whip.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the Omni Lash, boys.
Hear that snapback.
yeah, they're kicking back like, guys watching someone use a barbecue tool
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever blokes do.
Casting really made sense. The police were really in character. It really felt natural for them.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was because the fact that this probably had the most characters of any of the 3 segments, and
Yeah.
it had more variety in that respect.
Yeah, and I think it also probably has its cleverest jokes as well. Like, I really love... All right, read that back, Miss Krabappel. It's like, bird, pyramid, giant eye, bird. Good. Bird, cat head, guy doing this.
Yeah. I did like Kravapatra as well.
Oh,
that was her name.
Oh, very, very clever.
I also really like slave labor. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
That is such a good scene as, like, he presses the button. Oh, this will help us escape. Guy with spikes drawn on it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Spiking through
Clearly
him.
spiky pit.
And to stop it, he's like, and pressing it.
Pressing it more.
Yeah, you press it twice to retract.
Yeah, I think as better as it would have been if Lisa was the Moses in this story, I did like Milhouse as, like, the reluctant leader.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why you have it, so you can have lines where he's like, screw it, I'm converting.
Yeah.
Save us, mighty Ra.
And I really like, oh, so now they're my people. Just gets weirdly lumped with the responsibility.
And when, like, she pushes him up to Principal Skinner and he's like, let my people go.
Let your people go.
Yeah. In all the tellings of the Bibles, it's always, let my people go.
Yeah.
Like, it would never
Let
be.
my people go. Please let me go.
If you wouldn't mind, I was
Just
thinking...
If it wouldn't be a huge inconvenience, could you let my people go?
Just the thought, no bad ideas in brainstorming.
It was interesting kind of the way they looked at how could these plagues have really happened, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I agreed with their solutions exactly, but I was quite taken that they were running with it, you know? Frogs in through the ceiling, the toilet flush thing,
Yeah.
waiting for Jordan to bring it up in an anal corner.
No, that's fine.
That's not how irrigation worked in that era.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was no cistern, but that's fine. Like, hey, I've got
Era of
other...
irrigation.
I'm willing to let that one go, so my anal corner is going to be really petty.
Oh, boy.
And also in this one, I really like there's a quick, well, I'd say background reference, but it's actually in the foreground. There's the Orb of Osiris that shows
Yeah.
up in that museum episode with Lisa.
Yeah,
Just
season
in the pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Chilling
quick little
there.
visual reference.
didn't need to be there. Glad to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I loved how it played with the story of the Bible, dropping the frogs in through the roof. And it's like, these are the juiciest frogs that I've ever gotten. Like, Ra has blessed my
Plague, you
cruelty.
idiot. There's nothing you can do about it.
And then smash cut to this being thrown into the pyramid. Give my regards to the British Museum.
Anything else to say about this section?
But when he
Yeah.
kind of joins them at the bank, says, Oi, caramba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine. I also like when Bart's carving out true Simpson style. He's in detention. He's trying.
Yeah.
All you can see is a well, a not, and a D plus face. I will not deface.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
I
Yeah, like I
like that
said,
one.
probably has the cleverest jokes in this segment. So
I mean,
But yeah, because I was too distracted because they did it in the exact visual style of the Simpsons
Yeah.
intro.
yeah.
That you're like, haha, that's a funny joke.
Yeah.
I mean, contrast that, though, with the graffiti on the eventual tomb of Skinner's sarcophagus where it just says King Butt
Yep. Simple and effective.
Nice.
with like goofy glasses and a little like
And I've
buck
definitely
tooth.
quoted, "Hey Chief, you splashed me." Well, no one likes a crybaby. You just splash him back.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. The way they all get like swept up in the flood and suddenly it's a pool party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first few as they pan across are struggling and it's just those
There's
like
two
there's one on the shoulders.
Yeah.
You can tell one of them's playing Marco Polo. And, yeah. So there was a line that I didn't realize before doing my research for this. When Bart gets thrown in prison and he goes, the burning bush told us.
Yep.
And Bart says, no, the bush set me up. This is a reference to the 1990 arrest of Marion Barry, who I think is referenced in another episode of The
Yeah,
Simpsons,
sounds familiar.
where he was arrested for crack cocaine and he was quoted as saying, no, the bitch set me up.
Oh, well, there we go. The surprise double reference.
Oh, jeez.
Burning
yeah,
bush
wow.
and bitches.
Did you pick up on that yourself?
No.
Oh my God.
Research.
Actually, question: if the burning bush is supposed to be
God.
God's mouthpiece,
Yep.
why did it rat out Bart to the Egyptians?
Well, Bart's not Moses.
So they all didn't get
No.
punished for his
But
crimes.
he's one of his people.
Yeah, but he's also a bit of a jerk.
Let's research more.
Indeed. Quotes, things you want to mention about this bit before we move on?
Just 40 years of wandering the desert. Poor
But after that, it'll be okay, right?
hey, is that manna?
Yeah.
What's that? What's that?
So in Exodus, the Israelites survived by God would have a bird fly low carrying manna, which was like some kind of bread. They'd catch it and eat it, and occasionally eat the bird. if
Green
memory
potion. MP.
serves. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I thought it was a secret.
And it's usually blue.
Oh, no, I like the reference.
Yeah.
Depends what game you're
It
playing.
depends which game
Yeah.
you're playing.
Yeah, that's
Health
true.
is red. Green is blue.
Oh,
green
I've
is
seen-
mana.
Green is blue, up is down, cats are
Elf
dogs.
is red, green is blue.
Video games are great.
There's also I want this toilet clean enough to eat off it because it's nearly lunchtime.
Yeah, it's a classic.
That's a great bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all just landed in the delivery room. And hurry up, it's almost lunchtime.
Yeah.
There's that little hint of desperation.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
Oh, suffering sarcophagus.
Hey,
That was a good one.
I like the fact that they have slaves, but they give them time off to just have like
Yeah.
a little bit of recreation now and then.
They built the
Yeah.
playground. Surprising.
Some
You
good
know,
slave
good work
humor.
ethic.
Not
Yeah.
all slave owners.
Oh dear.
We're cutting that part out.
And the final segment of this
Up,
bin.
up. You missed one.
What did I miss?
Well, I wrote down how this is Homerlon for King Solomon and Homer.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, well done.
Oh,
Again,
God,
it
there
was
was a
tough.
mini segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homer's King Solomon. I mean, who has the one thing to say about it?
The pie shall be cut in two, and each man shall receive death.
That's the perfect Homer dream encapsulate.
Yeah.
And then also how quickly it just goes off the rails into it was Jesus versus the taxi driver in court. That's
Checker Chariot?
checker chariots. Yeah, checker taxis.
Oh.
I like how he's just got that manila folder that he's like evening out the paper with and it
Yeah.
just says my
Oh,
accent.
I'm ready for this.
yeah.
Perfect. Fucking
A
perfect.
little
Neck
bit of
braces.
People's Court theme.
Yeah.
And yeah, really quick bit. And
I think I'm going to say that was my favorite of the vignettes.
It is really beautifully succinct and funny, yeah.
That's it. It's short enough that there's nothing that could go wrong with it, you know?
And it's hard to tell because it's been so long since the first time I've seen this, but that it would have been such a great misdirect. You think it's going to be this whole thing, and no,
Yeah.
it's just this one
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. To me as well, the fact that everyone else's dreams was like so elaborate and informed by the source material.
Yeah.
I like how his just has one thing from it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Especially because
And-
Solomon was supposed to be, the wise, and was
Yeah.
this amazing like arbitrator
Oh, it's the
essentially.
Bible. They're all the wise.
yeah.
I really feel like I really like that it's the moment from TV where you look over and the guy you've been talking to suddenly hasn't got any pants on and his hat's an umbrella and you're like, oh, I'm dreaming, aren't I?
It's all a dream.
Afraid so. Waka waka. Honk.
And then the last section, Bart versus Goliath 2. Yeah, this was fun.
This was my favorite part.
Yeah.
I know I just said that about the last part, but I mean of the bigger vignettes.
But yeah, I didn't think about it until you mentioned it, Jordan. Yeah, it's a small cast in this one.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's really only Ralph and what I mean.
Ralph Nelson and
Ralph
Bart.
is
Yep.
great. The innocent.
Yeah. Well, it's
Sheep
up to
herder.
Ralph to say. Well, excellent smash cut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his gravestone means he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Poor Ralph.
Ralph, I thought you were dead.
Nope.
Yeah, not so poor. He made it out.
Yeah.
And he killed Goliath too.
Yeah, man.
He did Commissioner Gordon in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, he did.
He got it.
Sniped from behind.
Yeah.
I really like all the 80s action movie homage through it. It was
Yeah.
really like
Yeah, to frame
spiraling
the
up.
whole thing as an 80s action movie.
Yeah.
For sure. And just really get ready to meet the first action hero. Wow.
And then, Winner Takes All by Sammy Hagar was playing during the montage.
The sheep helping him with the training montage.
Yeah.
Like
doing the
holding his
sit-ups.
feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. When Abe walks in, Methuselah walks in with the knife in his back. It's like, what? I already slew him. I slew him good. He goes, it was his son. Goliath 2.
Goliath 2.
He dies
There's
very
no
suddenly.
way that fucking giant Goliath fit that teeny knife into Abe's back.
Yeah, no.
How the hell did that happen?
But it's
threw
like,
it.
that's such an action movie sequel moment,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it? Everything's
Oh, yeah.
good. No, it was his son, Goliath 2.
Although
Yeah.
I do want to bring up a small Jonathan because Superman smotes good, Bart smotes well.
Oh!
Hi, David. I love you because you kill people.
Yeah.
All right. And,
Get yourself a new hero, kid. I'm all washed up.
Oh, that was glorious.
And-
I've
Glorious
said
chance
that to
use
people as
line.
well.
Yeah.
It's
and
when
as
you get
James
a
Earl
chance.
Ralph.
I love you because you kill people.
Thank you.
Nice. Oh, I really liked Goliath 2's hair when he rises up in the like
Yeah, it's curled in a devil
yeah
Oh, as,
round 2 boss fight.
Yeah.
It's, I like because it's like the Chernobog thing because they
Chernobog
play
thing.
they've played Fantasia music over the back of it and everything. It was really cool that and play.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not
I
Fantasia
like that he
music.
stands
it's,
there with his mouth open long enough for Bart to get
Yeah.
his one-liner before he throws
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's so 80s movie.
Hope it doesn't give you heartburn. So
Because the
good.
blast that failed to kill me surely killed the giant.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really great story, and like now that I think about it, it feels like they managed to fit in a lot of story for this little 7-minute bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you had the cocky hero thinking he's gonna.
Oh yeah, just waltz in. Oh, it's like Goliath. Give a little stay in school. Yada yada yada. Gotta believe in yourself.
Didn't even prepare a rock.
Yeah, and his dog was like, "Oh, I don't know, Davey. You've gotten pretty fat there, Davey."
And a reference to the popular Christian children's cartoon, Davey and Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
Although you could really tell it was Homer there.
Yeah, but who cares?
See you later, Davey.
It was a talking dog. What do you want?
What more do you want, Elliot?
A talking coyote.
You'll have to wait a couple of seasons.
You're going to have to dig up Johnny Cash then.
Why do your plans always involve digging up Johnny Cash?
Why don't you more of yours?
What about the great bit where the grappling hook just keeps pulling down security guards? And like 2 guards in, he's just like, well, I can't try
This
a
is
third
gonna-
time. I'm going to run out of guards.
Yeah, and I loved in that moment as well how he threw out the giant corn, and that's how Bart scaled the Leaning Tower
Yeah.
of Pisa with the
Yeah.
giant corn
Tower
holders.
of Babel.
Babel.
Get it right.
No, because it was leaning.
Yeah, well, no, it's just the perspective.
No, David and Goliath took place in Italy.
Oh, well, that explains it.
I think they must have used marshmallows instead of stones, just looking at how easily he's
Yeah.
funked the corn into there.
Because they weren't metal, they were like plastic.
Well,
They didn't have plastic back then,
gotta remember,
Jordan. Get it
biblical-
right.
Well, they obviously did.
Daniel's
did you,
Hayden corner.
did you see the source material? He had plastic.
Daniel's Hayden corner.
yeah.
I'm Danny's Anal Corner.
Look, they just didn't build stones that hard back then.
I was also thinking quite a lot about how big is that fucking tower if the giant is at the top of it.
Yeah.
Like a giant's distance
big.
to the top.
The giant is big enough that someone's crown fits on his finger. So
Also big enough that he was eating that whale with his fingers, and that whale was big enough to be finger-sized in the tower,
Yeah.
in the thing.
yeah.
That was then as wide as the tower when it got to the bottom.
Oh, we didn't see the edge. You know, the tower might go back further than it looks.
Okay.
But that tower has to be like fucking Westfield's big. You know, it has to be fucking
Oh, yeah.
suburban big.
Oh, it has to be, Natural History Museum big.
Robert Wadlow big.
When it exploded and when Bart is on the top of the thing and it's on fire and
Yep.
Yeah.
it reminded me for some reason, I'm like, that's like, when you fight Bowser in Mario
Yeah.
64.
Yeah, totally.
I think when you said, second boss fight, that was so right.
Oh, totally, man. That is the action movie cliche, though. Just when you think the bad guy's dead
Yeah.
and you're standing there in the smoking ruins posing cool.
You hear this,
Yeah.
I gotta say, Nelson
Press B
looks
to
like
skip through. And...
he looked like Hitachi from Tekken in that moment as
A
well.
little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then player 2 enters the game. Fucking Ralph, yeah.
Do you say Hitachi?
Is it Hihachi?
I was going to say Hitachi, like the
the
electronics.
barbecue?
I'm always fucking that up.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other notes from this section?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going away for Mega Side.
Yeah. Where's your
Messiah now?
Yeah.
I thought that was, like, especially when I was a kid, I thought that was a really great twist. Oh, Goliath has been the best king we've ever had.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
invented roads and hospitals. We call him Goliath, the fucking wonderful
Consensus builder.
consensus builder. Oh, my God.
But it's good because it also probably paints a picture of David, how like he was so cocky at the start.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
And just so focused on revenge.
Yeah.
Just a violent hero that took the crown.
I was about to say, you saw him at the start and he's got like Sherry and Terry with
Yeah.
like the veils over and like feeding him grapes and shit.
Yeah. Power's gone to his head. He's gotten fat and slothful in his decadence.
And just ending with that big like wailing guitar solo as well.
Yeah.
You're
This
right,
has been
it's-
a Bart Simpson dream. Yeah.
Any other notes from this section?
Well, I'm not saying Jezebel is easy, but before she moved to Sodom, it was known for its pottery.
Hey-o!
That's a very subtle butt fucking joke, isn't it?
This was not subtle at all. You just got lucky we were too young to really get into it.
Well, the funny thing is that my history teacher in about year 9 or something actually showed this to us because,
you need an adult.
No, we were studying all these ancient stories at the time, so she felt it apropos, and, we got to watch this in class one day, and it was fucking excellent, and,
Nice.
discuss the references and things, and, it was really good. We didn't discuss that one, though.
No, that's fair. That's like how we convinced our Christian studies teacher to let us watch The Matrix.
Nice.
There's no-
There's a symbolism there. There's a metaphor.
Oh, it's not subtle at all.
Yeah, it's
No.
completely packed in with Christian
Oh,
symbolism.
is one character called Trinity?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, Praying Mantis has Krusty's voice.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm out of here.
Even the praying mantis is giving up. That's such good animation, just him going, eh.
You know what? I feel like that would be a joke in an. That's one of those ones where if it was HD, we'd be like, "Fucking hell,
Yep.
Jesus!"
But I still say there's a lot of jokes. It depends how much fun you're having at the time.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And because
I
that's
feel it.
packed around some
Yeah.
other stuff, some other fun, I think what comes off a lot
We need
better.
a name for that joke where it's like it only works in good episodes
Yeah,
and it
fair.
sucks in bad episodes. It's a fair weather joke of some
Yeah,
sort.
I think fair weather
That's
joke
not
works
bad.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it when things are going good, but when they're
Fair
not.
weather funny. It's got to be
There
like
you go.
F. Yeah.
Yeah. And I liked how Bart did the opening credits of it as well. David
Yeah.
versus G2,
Yeah.
Stone Cold.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it.
Always need a subtitle.
And yeah, when they are doing the sheep montage as well, and they've got the little arm wrestle,
Yep.
David wins, and then the sheep just cutely bites him on the nose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great animation.
I liked as well the little intercuts where it was like Tower of Babel, 9:35 a.m. or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
A lot of fun. All right, and the final bit of framework when they all wake up and everyone has left church.
Well, it's not the end of the world. Or is it?
Yeah.
Boom.
Ba-ba-ba.
So this was clearly we don't know how the fuck to end this thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
A little
seriously.
bit.
I guess you... Oh, man, that made its way over here.
Yeah, dog farts, dude. Dog farts. Oh, God. Edit them out in post. Can't wish this on our audience.
This week's Simpsons Index brought to you by Dog Farts.
Oh.
Why was that our sponsor? Why?
They paid them. They check cleared.
Is this like when you tried to video a smell the other day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Be thankful that didn't work. Side story. There's a tree that's been planted in the high school I'm working at called a Corella...
Hair?
A celery pear, a Corelli pear, a Coreller pear. And Wikipedia correctly, I'll say correctly because I was there, Wikipedia lists this tree,
Well, the flowers of
the
it.
flowers of this
Yeah.
tree, as having a smell that's a cross between rotting fish and semen.
Oh, right.
And that's exactly right.
You were trying
Dear
to film
God.
it, though?
Well, I was, oh, Jesus Christ, you can't. Ugh. So I took a
Yeah.
photo and well, they're not going to tell how that smells. So I switched it to the camera, video camera mode.
You should try the pears, though. They taste incredible.
Yeah, so I'm a bit mixed on this section because I feel like I liked it because, again, I was having fun at the time. It's a big fantasy episode. You can assume that maybe this is Maggie's dream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
just it was either this or have them go, oh, we all slept through church. Well, let's go home.
Yeah.
At least you get some jokes out of this version. I can appreciate it doesn't really make sense in canon, but it's better than just ending.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, again, still led to some good jokes. Bart, are you wearing clean underwear?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Very good.
Where do you think you're going, Missy?
Dad.
Or I just thought about it where they wake up
Yeah.
and it's Homer's just been asleep for like 30 seconds and the sermon is only just starting.
Nice.
Ah.
Better finish. I like his
Yeah.
version better.
Oh, no.
Oh, nuts.
But then explaining that would be like, oh, isn't he nearly done? Dad, you've only been asleep for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why is he like Waluigi or something? Or Mario?
Everyone should be Waluigi. Especially Infinity War. 32 Waluigis.
Ooh.
That's a game of Smash that we're going to play when it comes out.
No, because they're not making Waluigi a fucking playable
We'll make
character.
a me that it looks like
Yeah,
Waluigi.
yeah.
Oh, no, everyone was asking for Isabel, but not Waluigi. Fuck.
Who's Isabel?
From
Fucking-
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, they announced her as the most recent character.
There's like 8 Fire Emblem characters. I don't know 4 of their names.
Oh, well,
Like,
so the difference is Roy has a sword, Marth also has a sword, Lucina has a sword,
is that
and-
Corinne or something?
Corin, she has like a magic sword,
Uh-huh.
Ike?
and he's got a big sword.
All you
Okay.
need is Ike.
All you need is Ike.
Ike is all you need.
McCartney. Yeah.
Paul McCartney. I also like the joke, I never found true love. I never used those pizza coupons.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt so sorry for Lisa.
Yeah.
Getting raptured away. Where do you think you're going?
Fucking hell. And that's how rapture rules work.
Yeah, if someone stops you even a little.
Yeah.
God's like, oh, I guess they belong down there.
Then there was ooh, it smells like someone's barbecuing, and he runs down you and screams, and you expect, oh gosh, he's just found the horrors of hell, and he's like, oh God, there's pineapple in their coleslaw.
They're out of hot dogs.
Yeah.
German potato salad.
We had German potato salad this afternoon. That shit
Yeah.
is excellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like lemon instead of mayo, and that's fine.
But that was still a good 1-2 switcheroo. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
the turnaround on
That
the
was
human
fine.
barbecue, the
Yeah.
hellish barbecue.
Yeah, look, and it's a different episode, and especially because this was the first Vignette episode that they did, you know, they're having a little fun with the reality of it, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. The line of, hey, why aren't we getting mentioned? Oh, that's right. The sins.
Yeah.
Although I will say that one of the things we hated the most about the Valentine's vignettes was that it didn't wrap things up properly.
Yeah, but there was actually a story that they had attempted to do of Bart setting the water ride jelly.
Yeah.
Like, there was somewhere where that should have gone, where he should
I
have
guess
gotten into
that one
that-
didn't go back to reality
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
whereas this one did, and then
and then kind of slipped into a non-reality,
yeah.
which might still all be a dream.
Question mark finish.
I think we can agree it's not the best way they could have ended the framework, but it worked.
Yeah.
All right, so time for a little questionnaire. Play count. How many times have you seen this episode before today?
Several.
7?
A handful.
Yeah, I've seen it once in school and about 50 times elsewhere. No, I do really like this episode. Yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yes.
Oh, I suppose.
All right.
Yeah, potentially. We're going to watch it again. We might put it in a playlist. What playlist does it go in?
Things that shouldn't explode that do.
I love things that shouldn't explode. But
Yeah.
What was that for this episode?
That was when he throws the oil lamp down, and instead of just like him having a mild discomfort, Nelson
Kaboom.
just explodes. Yeah.
and then still rises from his
Yeah.
grave.
Homer, the thief of fallen
Yeah.
idols.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, it's a biblical Homer.
Biblical Homer.
Yeah, certainly. Homer versus Lisa and the Eighth Commandment.
Yep. That very specific British voice. So the pig and the guy who steals the sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I nicked it when you look at your guard down for that split second. And I do it again.
Do it again. Yeah.
All right, sassy British playlist. I like it.
Definitely.
All right.
Boring church playlist as well.
Ah,
yeah.
yep, definitely. Boring. So, BT, what would you like to change?
Oh, wow. So there's just so many things to cover right now, and none of them immediately spring to mind, but I think, which is good. I'm curious what are the ways we can take that very ending of the framework.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't think there's a hell of a lot I really would want to change, but that's without going into a solid deep dive on each of them.
Alrighty, how about you, Denny? What would you like to change?
Hard to put my finger on the pulse of what it is that because I'm not sure what it is that something doesn't sit quite right with me. Maybe I'd kind of like all the dreams to link into each other somehow. Like if they were all part of the same dream world thing, and I don't really want to see them be like, oh, hey, what are you doing in my dream? I thought this was my dream. You know what? No.
I was about to
guess
say, I don't think you actually want
I don't
that.
think I do
I
actually
don't
want
tell you what
that.
you want, but I didn't think
Yeah.
I think the closest they kind of come with that is because they do kind of go in order of the Bible. Like they start at Genesis
Yeah.
and they go to Exodus and then...
Which ties
have,
into the framework as well of Reverend Lovejoy reading the book.
But even then, it's not like quite enough. I get what you mean, though.
How about you, Jordan? What
Or
would you
even-
like to change?
Just jumping on that, like even just like a recurring character or something.
Yeah.
God being present and being Flanders the whole time, or it could be
Yeah.
Lovejoy or something. Just a character. I was just thinking of that Treehouse of Horror where Willie gets killed all the time, like in all three.
Yeah, I mean, they have the voice of the burning bush, which could have been the voice of Flanders'
Yeah.
God, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's
Flanders.
just
was it?
random deep voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, as for what I'd change, yeah, look, I think I'm sort of feeling the mood. There's something that doesn't quite sit well with me. I think there is a lot of space in this episode, but I think there's a lot that it does right. So I don't really have any specific moments aside from, the ending framework. It's just, you can't ignore it. It is a bit of a what the fuck moment. And especially in this episode where it is still meant to be an anthology fantasy one, but if they are cutting back to reality...
Oop, there goes gravity. Sorry.
I knew someone was going to do it.
Mom spaghetti.
God damn it. Oh, and musical moments. AC/DC's Highway to Hell finishes out the episode.
Nice.
Apropos, very apt.
You sometimes feel like if you're away on holiday, you almost like need to be patriotic and say that like, yeah, AC/DC when someone mentions, oh, you're Australian? Oh, I love like AC/DC. You're like, yeah.
A little bit,
Yeah.
maybe, I guess.
Probably not that much.
Okay.
Or
Usually-
actually, you do have to like support the drop bears myth and be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, kangaroos fucking everywhere.
Oh, yeah, we have to
I mean, oh shit, this is going out to the national. We have to not support the drop bears myth. We have to propagate the truth of.
The
Yes.
warning.
Yeah.
Get
we
the
have to-
message out.
Tell the people.
Also, there's like the thing about how everything in Australia is venomous and deadly, and
that's also
actually that's
true.
pretty true though.
Yep.
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
Americans, that one is legit.
Especially Bella, who we've got in the studio at the moment. There's some venomous ass dog
Yeah.
farts, man.
She's lost an eye, man.
Yeah, I died 3 times on the way to the studio.
Wow, he had an easy day.
Yeah.
Uphill both ways.
In the snow and the sun.
It is time to rank. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Can I do a couple of anal corners?
Yes, you can.
How did the snake cut up the apple and put toothpicks in it with no hands.
It used the knife monster.
Use the tip of its tail.
God, cut this
Ooh.
up for me.
Yes.
Where'd it get toothpicks from?
Yeah. When the Red Sea, or the tiny Red Sea,
The
drank.
temporarily dry sea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where is the sandbank? Because like some people are like drowning and like barely swimming, and some people are standing on the shoulders of their friends who
They're
are
the
like
ones that
waist
haven't learned how
high.
to swim yet.
They're like half Jesus.
Yeah.
They can
You
kind of
know-
walk on water.
You know the baby that tries to do the thing and then his mom just puts his feet on the floor and
Oh, yeah.
discovers it can walk in the pool?
Isn't that a dog?
You're a dog.
Oh, okay.
That's a dog.
With
Yeah.
smelly dog farts.
Yeah.
Smells smelly.
Can you imagine how long that sermon must have been? Because I don't know if you've ever tried
Oh,
to
man.
read any of the Bible, but
He
to get
goes
just
from
Genesis,
the literal beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the way through to Exodus, and that's like,
66 books.
yeah, God, that's a long time. He would have been there for hours and hours and hours reading through all of that.
Oh, yeah.
It is time to rank this thing! On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant, but for the good rankings, you got good, bronze, great, silver, excellent, gold. But for the best, the very best, the ones that would get raptured in the event of the apocalypse, you give those episodes cubic zirconia. Now I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Look, I'm very close to a gold, but I just can't ignore it that this episode did leave me kind of flat. It's still great. Like, it's a very comfortable silver for me. Almost gold. BT, take it away.
I came in on a solid silver. I shifted down a little bit, but I think I'm
Ooh.
still sitting on the silver. I think it's just one where, when I remember back to the fond memories, they're not as fond. It's just, oh yeah, that's pretty good. But I think it's just any novelty is kind of worn off a little bit. But it is still
Sure.
a solid episode. It's got some great pacing. There's still some fun jokes. I've definitely quoted it. Yeah, silver from me.
Danny?
I'm somewhere between a bronze and a participant.
Oh, wow.
Hey, man, it's not a wow. I mean, you said a silver. You never give things a silver. You're like Captain QZ, which should really be CZ, I suppose. But you
It
know.
really should be, but we've made the mistake often enough that fuck
Yeah.
everybody else.
I thought some of you people, I'm not pointing any fingers.
It was me. I
was like,
started-
I'm doing it on purpose
Oh,
now.
no, I never did it on purpose.
Okay.
I think Phil started doing it on purpose
Yeah.
or something.
It started with you, but then you got
Because
called
I
out.
literally just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Q
know,
for
cubic.
Q for cubic.
No, but it's
jeez.
phonetically correct, and it's more evocative of... Anyway,
Yeah.
what's your rank, sorry?
Yeah, you're Captain QZ, Z, but even you were down to silver, which I think the lowest rank you've ever given anything ever. So
I'll have to check the files, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But go on.
I think you'll find that I'm right. Look, I sat down here thinking silver. I was sitting there out there being like, this feels like silver. This is a silvery silver. But now that I'm here saying it out loud, gosh, doesn't feel silvery anymore. It doesn't sound right when I say it.
That's fair.
Silver.
It's pewter.
Silver. So, like, I'm going to give it a bronze because it's better than forgettable. And what I mean by that is that some of the jokes and the one-liners are funny, but I don't think a show should be carried by its yucks. And to me, the story was just background. You know, it was just wash for a couple of funs.
Sure. Jordan, finish it off.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, is this a bronze or a silver? But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't actually give silver a lot. And this kind of does feel like a silver, like, because it's kind of hard to... Silver is the hardest rank for me to give, I think, because
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
ranked.
Yeah.
It has no feel.
Sorry is the hardest word, and silver is the hardest rank.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm happy giving it a silver. It's a strange one. There's lines, but like I probably won't remember a lot of it.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, 3 silvers and a bronze, that'll equal a dull silver. We don't actually have that many dull silvers, and it'll be joining other episodes such as the Computer War Menace Shoes with the Weird Prisoner.
Yeah.
The island.
The Strong Arms of the Ma. I think we
yeah.
did review that together.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah. I Annoyed Gruntbot, which was just me and you, Beach. I liked it. You were
Which one was this?
Chief Whack-A-Homer.
Yeah, it's got some bits.
And Lisa's 5 Cats.
Yeah, Lisa's 5 Cats, a bit stupid, but
Yeah.
the Chief Knocker-Homer's not bad.
24 Minutes, which we did a few weeks ago, the 24 parody.
I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
That's a
And
silver.
Solid silver.
yeah, 500 Keys, which is one of my favorite HD era episodes with the
The Pooter Toots,
the Pooter Express.
mild
500
tastelessness.
keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so silver. Through and through.
And the Nedliest Catch as well, where Krabappel
Yeah.
and Nedna happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember you said it was going to be gold, and then I remembered the internet ending.
Yeah.
So fuck that.
No,
Yeah.
I was so ready to give it a gold because it is such a solid episode,
Yeah,
but
and it just
it's such a cop-out.
banks out on that. Why don't you tell us what to do?
Delivered, like, way more hackneyed than that.
Seriously. Fuck you
I
guys,
can't hackney
Simpsons.
any harder than that.
I'm sure I said it back then, and I'll say it now. Fuck you guys.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for the first part of the vignettes. So you guys clear out, and we're going to get a new cast in now for this next one.
Oh,
Bye.
I know when I'm not wanted.
Go on then.
Yeah.
So
I'm going. Just,
All right.
you know.
Well, see you guys later. Me and Elliot are gonna
You
get
switch
ready.
off the mics first.
You switch off first.
go on, Belle. Go fart outside for a bit.
Please. And welcome back to Vignettes of Vignettes, where we're doing our second segment with Jordan Frost.
Hello.
And all the way from New York in America, Jack Picone.
Hello, and boy, are my arms tired.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. We've been trying to do this for a while, and it's just what time is it where you guys are?
It's 11 a.m. It's not the worst. The couple of times we've done recordings with you, it's been at 4 in the morning for us.
Yeah, no, you've been a saint recording with for our show, worst episode ever. It's 8 o'clock here Eastern, and it's it's March where you guys are. It's January here.
Yep. Yep, it's right in the middle of summer, which means most things are on fire here.
Yeah, it's like being in the middle of the blazing hot sun.
It
Yeah.
seems a little hot in your studio.
Yeah.
Conversely, my heat doesn't work, so I'm actually freezing. That's why I'm layered up right now. It's 55 Fahrenheit. I don't know what that would be in Celsius.
It's like 10 to 15 degrees C, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not fun.
It's that bitter New York cold as well.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's my heat's working. If I stick my hand in the radiator, but I don't call it heat. I call it like warmth. It's like it's warm.
It gets you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for listeners who don't know, Jack is joining us from the Worst Episode Ever podcast, where they look exclusively at the worst episodes of The Simpsons.
Yeah. You'd see. I think I've said this on our show because we've been lucky enough to have you on twice, although we haven't aired one of them yet. But you guys really came up with the best formula because you get to have your cake and also throw it up too.
That is so fucking apt.
The other shows they cover just the good episodes, and
Yeah.
that's fine. You can only say so much good things about The Simpsons before you start repeating yourself. And we only get to do the bad. I love your take. I think you have the best model out of the 3,000 Simpsons podcasts that exist.
Although the good thing about your show is that for every new episode of The Simpsons they release, you get to do another episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done the math. I think the way we're recording now, which went from once a week to once every 2 weeks to once a month to once every 6 months. Now I think we should be able to wrap up the show. If they stop at 700 episodes, we should be able to wrap up around like 2493, 25th century. So we'll see.
It's good to have long-term goals. I suppose.
Exactly.
Hosted by Jack's Head in a Jar.
So, yeah, today we're having a look at the vignette episodes of The Simpsons, and we just watched Season 17, Episode 18, The Wettest Stories Ever Told. First released in April of 2006, it was directed by Mike B. Anderson, written by Jeff Westbrook. In this episode, so yeah, this is a collection of wet stories.
What a theme. Well, who wrote this? I didn't hear M. Night Shyamalan in there because who picks water as a theme?
So, yeah, overall impressions. Jack, what'd you think?
Oh, God, overall, I hate to sound like a broken record for my own show, but not the best, not the worst. It was, I don't think it was a very good episode, but I wasn't actively angry at how bad it was, except for a few specifics we'll probably get into.
Yeah, Jordan?
Yeah, when you said it was the wettest stories ever told, I had a really bad feeling. I'm like, no, we've already done the Homer Diaper episode, so this is not going to be that. Yeah, it was just groan-worthy, a lot of it. There were some jokes where it just went, oh, come on, guys, you're not even trying anymore.
Yeah.
No, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I gotta say, it really reeked of the bad things about the teens era. And while I do agree it's not actively awful, but it just sort of existed, didn't it?
Yeah, it offered nothing. Again, I can see how you can do water-themed vignettes. I see it, and each vignette makes sense. I just, why? Why does this exist?
Well, yeah, and especially in the teens era, they were almost doing these vignette episodes once per season, and then in season 17 they did 2. So yeah, they did this in a Christmas one. So yeah, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for the ideas, and that was only halfway through the run.
Yeah, exactly. Now they just chew on the barrel, I guess. I don't.
If the bottom of the barrel was a whole nother barrel,
Yeah.
it's the bottom of that barrel. Yeah.
So yeah, getting into the episode, starting with the wraparound. So they're at the Captain McAllister's restaurant and they're not getting their food. We could probably shoot through the wraparound right now.
Sure.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
It's stupid, but I laughed at the octopus with all the knives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked. It did nothing for me. It was very lazy. In between the second and third segment, I guess they're waiting for their food and they're passing the time by telling these stories to one another. They're actively, they look bored and tired and exhausted and they don't want to be there anymore. And I was just like, me too. I get it. I get it.
Oh, that is so mean. Yeah. I was trying to figure out in what scenario are you like, hey, let's trade sea stories, or like, yeah, I'm going to tell you about the bounty, and like, yeah, we've all saw the movie, we were there, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, I know this story exclusively, and you guys haven't heard it yet. So here's me going into the story. Like, yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that Bart of all people knows Mutiny on the Bounty.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great point, actually. And like the Halloween stories make sense. You tell each other scary stories. The
Yeah.
tall tales kind of make sense. Hobos telling them they're traveling through the country on train in a boxcar. Let's tell some Americana stories.
Trading stories for sponge baths.
Yeah. Do you ever sit around like the table waiting for your food and just like describe movies to one another? Is that an active pastime? So let me tell you about a little boy named Harry Potter.
And
God.
recasting ourselves into the role.
Yeah, exactly. Why does Harry Potter have a Staten Island accent? I don't get it.
I think the only thing where I've seen that done well was in Parks and Rec, where Andy is describing the movies to those people, and then at the end, and they're all like, "It's like I've seen it already." Like, that's the only time I think I've seen that shtick done well. Like other times, it's just like, this is so contrived.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in these wraparound segments, like, at one point, Captain McAllister's playing basketball to delay it, the food further, and it's like, you couldn't think of anything else. Like,
Yeah, but he can ball. Like, he dunks on those guys. He's hot. He should be like hustling people down at the courts.
I wrote this line down. I can't remember the setup. Lisa was about to introduce the first vignette.
Yeah.
Oh, it was about the Mayflower. He confuses prostitutes with Protestants.
yeah.
And he goes, now who's being naive? And I was like, well, nobody called him naive.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? I don't know. It just seemed like, we call it on our show, we call it first draft writing.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
There's like, oh, there's a naive joke here. I'll finish it later. And then they don't. And it goes 6 months later, it's animated.
I thought that when she said it, and I'm like, wait, I must have missed something. All right, I'll forget about it because it's probably my fault, my memory, because it wasn't a good joke in the first place. But yeah, okay, if it didn't happen, then that's just even worse.
And also the meta joke of Homer going, I'll tell the next story, and Marge going, well, let's have Bart tell the second story because that'll probably be the weakest. And it's such placeholder dialogue.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah. And haven't we seen that joke before in maybe a Treehouse of Horror? I feel like they've mentioned the second being the weakest or the shortest at some point before. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not even the worst fourth wall breaking joke that they do, because later on one of them, Mo, is like, oh, that's how we talk. You know, that's how, please, why are you doing this?
Yeah. He stops and looks at the camera. Oh, God.
Well, that leads us perfectly into the first segment, which is titled Mayflower Madman. And yeah, this is the story of the Mayflower going from England to some country.
The New England.
New England.
I have many thoughts.
Well, yeah, let's hook into this one. Yeah.
I don't know if I wanted to bring this up with the bounty or with this, but if you're doing 3 stories about water, it seems like the Mayflower and the bounty are roughly the same period. I mean, they're very different stories, but when you're doing 3 from across all of time, basically, to do 2, not Renaissance, like, 15th, 16th century wooden ships out at sea, it seems very similar. And the Mayflower, it's all Puritan jokes, this vignette, and it doesn't really have too much to have to do with being at sea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the boatest stories ever told. It's the wettest stories. Like, come up with, I don't know. This thought came during the bounty one, but I don't know. This whole segment just seemed like an excuse to do stupid Puritan jokes and Moat mentioning how they talk funny.
Yeah.
I think for me it was the fact that they chose 2 historical stories to tell, but then one completely fictional one about, like, what's the name of the movie? I can't even remember.
The Poseidon
Adventure.
Adventure.
Is that Michael Caine? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they chose a movie to rip off. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why wouldn't you do 3 historical ones? Or like you said, like do one from like ancient times. Do like a Roman flotilla or something, and then do...
Yeah, the first boat or something. Yeah.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
And the Poseidon Adventure, I was thinking, could have been the Titanic.
Yeah.
Because that is historical and it's a little bit more iconic. Like, I love the Poseidon Adventure. I'm a disaster movie. But actually, get this. You guys know what a spec script is?
Yeah.
So when I took TV writing in college, this was before YouTube and the whole industry was upended and Netflix and everything. At the time, you were only supposed to write spec scripts of existing shows. You don't write your original pilot. That comes 20 years later into your career.
All right.
So I was going to do The Simpsons because The Simpsons was my favorite show, and I really struggled with it, so I stopped. I ended up writing an office spec. But The Simpsons one I started writing was called The Simpsidon Adventure, and it was a full-length spoof of the Poseidon Adventure. Like
Wow.
they went on a cruise and it flipped upside down. I think I was thinking at the time, like, what's a movie they haven't done yet? And then that came out like a year later, and I was like, fuck. I wrote that in 2004. Started to write in 2004. It was terrible. I have no business critiquing Simpsons writers, but it's a lot harder than it looks. But yeah, the Poseidon Adventure, I love the Poseidon Adventure, but yeah, I would think the Titanic would be immediately more iconic for them to do.
No, absolutely. So the Mayflower one. So Jordan, what's something that stands out to you from this segment?
It was the part where Homer kind of jumps aboard the ship and the family just decides to protect him, even though their first impression is he just pushed a bunch of people off the raft, the thing, into the water and jumped in and is hide and is obviously a criminal. Like, yeah, let's protect him. Like, what? Why?
And
Why?
he's also praying for their death. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't know that, to be fair, but still, it's just like, what? How did this even begin? And then the love story between him and I was just like, I hate this so much. Can this be over? I hope.
It has nothing to do with the Mayflower.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
It has nothing to do with that story. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jack and Rose in the Titanic. Nothing to do with the Titanic. No, but what bugs me about this section as well, and it's when the Simpsons sort of do these fantasy things and they sort of mess with the pre-established family structure. Like in this story, Homer isn't actually their dad. It's sort of weird at first.
Yeah, who's their dad? It's not Flanders. It's not Moe.
Yeah, some dude that looked like fucking Dutch from Red Dead Redemption.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because when they open up the locket and they've got the picture of him, I was going to ask, is that a model that they've used before for anybody? It was a guy with a kind of a weird goatee. I didn't know if it was someone they'd used before or if it was a recurring character.
No,
Okay.
generic old prostitute. I mean, Protestant-looking guy.
Oh, dear.
How about you, Jack? What's something that stands out to you from this segment?
This comes up later in the next segment as well. But at the very end, they make it to North America and they meet the Native Americans. And it's played by Chief Wiggum, I guess because he's the chief. I just got that. And
Terrible.
And they're in, for lack of a better term, red face.
Yeah.
Or like their yellow skin is tinted darker. And then when they play the Pacific Islanders natives in the next segment, they're also that kind of brownish reddish color. And I was thinking, if this ship docked in Africa, would Chief Wiggum be in blackface?
Oh, God.
And I would like to think no. So I don't know. It just seems, it's just like, just leave it. Look, Homer's not their dad. Chief Wiggum can be white.
Yeah.
He can be a white Native American. Like,
Yeah.
all right, fine.
I think it was also because they called him Wig Gum as well. And I'm like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah. At least he didn't go how. You know,
Oh, yeah. That would have been even worse.
At least they tempered themselves a little bit. Speaking of tempered, this is just a specific line, but I did like the line where Homer's like wants to have sex with Marge, and she's like, "Yeah, my name is Constance Prudence Temperance. Don't sex.
Yeah, my nickname is Marge Don't Sex. Yeah, and all that.
Sex won't. Sex won't. I wrote it down.
Yeah, beautifully absurd then, and yeah, really driving home that he isn't getting any until he chokes Bart, and she's like, "Ooh, I got a swoon coming on."
Yeah, that's one of the weird things where I guess they were trying to make a comment about old style values. You know, you used to be able to beat your children to death, and it's like, oh, that's a good quality in a man to be able to choke his son till he passes out. You know, that's marriage material.
Quality family entertainment.
Yeah. No, like Homer choking Bart has sort of become a weird sticking point with The Simpsons for us especially, and yeah, it's one of the things about the show that really doesn't age well.
No. It's, I mean, yeah.
Nah, and because it worked at one point, they keep returning to it, and it just gets more and more uncomfortable. Like, you guys did the episode where Homer goes to choke therapy with, like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and stuff.
Yeah, they do a whole, and I think Paul Rudd's in.
Yeah.
is Paul
Yeah,
Rudd
he's
in
a
that one?
therapist or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they really just leaned into the curve there and got all meta about it, and just forget about it. Just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of things from season 1 and season 2 that don't fit what we consider the classic era of the show, and they just kind of forgot about it. That's all. You don't have to do callbacks to it.
Yeah. So how about Mo and Marge's relationship in this? What do we think of that?
Not good.
Nah.
I mean, it's Mo creep all over it. Like they've done this thing, I guess, in later seasons where he started off being shady, and he's just become a real creep and a pest, and it's just not funny. I don't know how that keeps getting past editing.
Yeah, I mean, his jealousy at least drives the story in this one to get Homer drunk, but I don't know. It just still felt very pointless.
Yeah, and again, it has nothing to do with the Mayflower. This literally could have been any historical or any vignette. This could have been the Poseidon Adventure. The cruise ship in the 70s could have flipped over, and Mo wants to have sex with Marge.
Yeah,
But it's completely pointless. I have spent years of my life, if you add them all together, just talking about how much I hate what they've done with Mo.
Yeah.
And this is right up that alley. He at one point even goes, yeah, and just so you know, I'm a bad husband even for these times.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you, Jack, because obviously, you know, being American, you would have studied or learned about first settlers or the Mayflower and everything else as part of your childhood. So I guess this is probably resonates more with the American audience than us. You know, we have our own history and everything else like that. So is it even more annoying to you to see this kind of reductionist kind of crap put out about the story?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually wrote in my notes. So I don't know much about the Mayflower because I went to an American educational system through the so it's not, half the country voted for Donald Trump. We don't know what we're doing. But what little I know about the Mayflower, maybe there's something about the Mayflower I forgot about it. I don't know, but I don't think there was really. We learned the names of who was on. It was like Miles Standish. I think that was the Flanders joke.
Oh, right.
I was going to ask about
and
that.
We've learned, I know a buddy of mine, I think, is actually a direct descendant of one of the 13 families that came over.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So we know the names. They are the ultimate WASPs. They're the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. But that's about it. This was really more a commentary on Puritan culture, which really could have been the first 150 years up until the colonial era of American history. We've seen this in The Witch, the horror movie The Witch. Like the Mayflower is just the first sentence in the story. This could have taken place in Salem, Massachusetts. It could have taken place in the Virginia colonies.
Mm-hmm.
You could play with these cliches pretty much anywhere. It has nothing to do with water. It doesn't belong in this episode. Although I did appreciate there was a joke, I think, at the end, because us fundamental Christians will eventually take over all of America into the 21st century. And it's true because that is culturally, if not historically, if we don't really know that much about the Mayflower, we certainly do have like a weird Puritan culture. Like, do you guys have blue laws? I doubt it. Like they can't, even in New York, which is one of the most liberal parts of the country, you can't sell alcohol on Sunday mornings.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Yeah, so I used to stock beers in high school that was my job. I used to stock a deli, and on Sunday mornings I had to tape off the beer fridge, and at noon I could open it.
Wow.
And then there's dry counties all over the country
yeah.
where you literally you can't buy alcohol. It's a temperance movement, and it's all the roots are from the Puritan. We had prohibition. We outlawed it for 15 years, and that's all based in these old school 400-year-old Puritan values.
I always thought it was funny that the Jack Daniels distillery was in a dry county. Like I thought, because they have a special dispensation, and after you do the tour, because we did one, and you're allowed 1 30 ml shot of alcohol, which they split into 3 10 ml things, so you can taste 3 of the different whiskeys.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was weird because I was like, why in American TV do they always blur out butt cracks? And I guess it's probably the same thing. They just
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, and the rating system, Hollywood dominates. I know the ratings in the UK and Australia, and everybody has different ratings. And in America, if you have any kind of sex or eroticism, you immediately get rated a lot higher. Whereas you can have really bloody, disgusting violence, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's part. It's all ties into this weird. Most people now aren't Puritan Protestants. They might be Protestants in name. They're not flogging themselves like Flanders does in this episode.
Jesus Christ, and pouring salt into the wound as well.
Yeah.
I cringed at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but culturally, it's in our DNA. It's so weird. I don't know.
One of the most fun things to do is you go on IMDb and you look at I think it's the MPAA like ratings and the warnings, the parental warnings, and why they gave it a certain rating.
Yeah.
And you go to like Hercules, like the Disney Hercules, and it was like, throughout the production you can see male nipples,
male presenting nipples.
Yeah. And I'm like, what kind of old, like waspy person is like going through like, well, that's a nipple, that's 10 points, that's 10 demerit points. Yeah.
No, we're such a fucked up country. There's actually a bar. I'm sure this happens a few times, but there's a bar I know of. I don't know where. It's somewhere down south, but it's on a county line. Half the bar is in a dry county, half the bar is in a wet county.
Weird.
So you have to order the drinks. The bar is in the wet part, but the bathroom is in the dry part. So you can't actually bring your pint to the bathroom because you would be transporting alcohol over county lines. You'd go to jail.
That is so weird that it even stays
Isn't
open.
that fun? Yeah, it's so stupid.
But
I don't want to bring my pint into the bathroom anyway, though. Like, I mean, I just think something bad is going to happen if you do that. It's knowing. Well, I mean, maybe Sydney and American bars is different, but yeah. God, disgusting. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just to wrap up this segment as well, the only other note I had was about the wordplay joke of, oh, look, there's horseplay and roughhousing and horse housing.
That was dumb.
I mean, there was something fun about seeing a horse in a house, but the way it rolled out was this really, see what we did there?
Yeah, no, I didn't like it.
Yeah, no good.
Any other notes, Jack?
The one line I did like, so he goes, I'm going to call this New England. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But then Willie says, what do you call your foot, new hand?
Yeah.
And so, like, that part of the joke made me laugh. So I guess the end justified the means there.
Yeah, absolutely. It made me laugh, especially because we live in the state of New South Wales, which is, really, that's the best you could come up with. You, Jordan?
The line that made me cringe was when Homer said, oh, a widow. Oh, so the codpiece holds no terrors for thee. I'm like, ugh, why say that?
No, Homer was so creepy in this, wanting to touch some elbow and...
Imagining her in here in like, the nightgown and things and, okay, we get it. They were, Puritan. Yeah, please stop making those types of jokes now.
Yeah, but like, I don't know what Marge saw in him because like Homer and Moe were both being equally creepy in this episode.
Yeah, really disgusting. I had a couple of anal corners, if I may.
Oh, Jack, there's a segment on our show because Jordan's particularly anally retentive, so when he wants to bring up some of those points, we yell out, Jordan's anal corner!
My anal corner, yeah.
I did catch that on a few I've listened to. Now I thought it meant something else. Okay. I get it.
I mean, buy me a drink. Okay, Homer says, I've been driving drunk since I was 12. With what? Horses? Does that count?
I don't think it was called drunk driving back then. It was just called driving.
Yeah, didn't like that. It's a bit like when Lovejoy is like, oh, bless the sun, which, dries our lips out till they bleed. But it's just like they could have at least had blaring hot animation in the background, but it was just really cloudy. Oh, yeah. I'm like, why didn't they just make it sunny? And have them weary and actually have their chapped lips or so. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The other
That's a great point.
The other kind of notes I had were, he's got actual boots instead of just painting his feet. And the sound when he was like flipping his toes around was all wet and disgusting, and I hated it.
I mean, it is the wettest story ever told.
Yeah.
That was the wet part. Yeah. And the bit I didn't like was when Homer is in the stocks and he says, oh, well, someone's going to have to help me pee. And they all look at the Smithers clone, and he goes, what? Oh, they're all looking at me because I've got the keys to the stocks. I'm like, no, don't do that. Just stop it. Anyway.
Yeah.
They do have a few, like, really 90s old eye-rolly gay jokes in this. Like, Homer calls it the gay flower at some point. And,
Yeah.
Super disappointing.
2006 was not that long ago.
No.
But still so long ago.
It's amazing how far we've come, but it's amazing how far we hadn't come then.
It's like we've gone in both directions, though.
Yeah.
We're both worse and better.
That's perfect, yeah.
So the next segment, the Wine Bar C. WHINE. Yeah, not great. So yeah, this is the second and most probably the weakest story, the mutiny on the bounty thing. Jack, overall impressions.
You guys might disagree. I think this was I don't want to say strongest, least weakest.
Yeah.
This is the least weak, the least weakest.
Worst.
This one, I like everybody had clear motivations. It was a clear cut. I mean, they did the exact same thing with the Prince Egypt Moses thing by having the school children represent a whole group.
Yeah,
it's really have a black and white good guy bad guy situation. But in general, I thought Maybe it was because the quickest and most straightforward. I don't even know if I have any jokes I liked from it necessarily, but it just, I don't know. This one seemed to bother me the least.
Yeah, it was definitely the quickest. Like, I felt like, oh, wow, they wrapped that up really quickly. How about you, John?
Yeah, I just realized there was a parallel joke in both the first two stories with the, oh, we're on our voyage and only 50% of us have died, and they sweep all the bodies off the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then in this one, they say like, oh, well, to punish you, we're getting rid of all your mail from home, and then they kind of sweep it off the side of the ship. Again, I'm like, they just reused the same joke? Like, why? And it wasn't even funny.
I kind of liked it when he was like, oh, and there were cookies in this package that could only be made by the nicest mothers and Milhouse's dad. But then it kind of, they took the second and third bites of that one as well.
Yeah.
So I actually liked the third part of that joke better than the rest. So Skinner, he's like, oh, wait, my dad's alive? And he goes, no, he died baking. It's all in the letter.
Oh, yeah.
It's frozen away.
I wrote a really great pun in my notes. I said, I really like the it's all in the letter joke because it had great delivery.
Hey, well done. All right, we have to leave now. Sorry.
My work here is done.
Yeah.
Well, even there was like a moment where they were like doing a really obvious joke. This is some sort of mutiny on a bounty. Mutiny on a bounty. What have you been smoking? Opium. And I just loved the flat delivery of opium.
Yeah.
He goes, but what else?
Yeah. So my main problem with this segment is the Tahiti thing felt pretty irrelevant.
I think they just had to because they had to give a reason why the crew wanted to mutiny. Because like, hey, that was amazing. That was a great vacation. We had a great fun. I mean, it wasn't as wholesome as they depict there, obviously, the real story. But yeah, like they had to give them some reason to be like, this sucks. We're going back to Tahiti where we're having fun. And I get that. But yeah, it didn't really play much into the story, and it didn't really add anything either.
Not at all. And like they did, non-the-nose musical choice of Weezer's Island in the Sun here as well. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, who directed the Zack Snyder?
Ouch.
I'm not that familiar with the Mutiny on the Bounty story. I know there's been like 5 films of it, but I haven't seen. Maybe I saw the Brando one years ago. Is them going and visiting the natives? Is that part of it? I know because I know that happened with Magellan, but I didn't know is that why they mutiny?
Yeah, I think it was because, the appalling conditions, and I think they thought the captain, this is really stretching my history knowledge here, but I think it was, the captain was treating them poorly and that their mission was kind of doomed to fail, and so they're like, well, fuck it, let's just, strand him somewhere and take the ship and live the high life. And I don't think the ending, where they ended up in Antarctica, I don't think that's true. I think they did crash or ground themselves somewhere.
Yeah, I really didn't like any of the material after they ditched Skinner either.
It felt that was a good ending. I mean, it wasn't a good ending. There was a great place to end when Skinner basically just sinks. I was like, I thought it was over.
Yeah, that would have been a great place because especially when they bring this story in again at the end of the episode.
With the ghost ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have been fine if they left it open-ended. Because especially, the Skinner-Willie thing after they get mutinied, that's probably my favorite part of this segment, where Skinner's trying to get Willie to sing a solo round. This is a moment that I remember from first watching the episode, and, it really tickled me.
Oh, man, the row you boat, I hated that. That was, I didn't like it. I did not like that one bit.
But he cannot do it.
I'm only one man. Yeah.
No, I hated when Skinner was getting the crew to do it, but when he got Willie to do it, that just tickled me.
Yeah, and then the bit with the turtle, and you call this deep, and I'm like, you're a terrible person, and you don't understand the consequences of your actions, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
anyway.
It was a bit blah.
Besides our principals, Willie, I think, is the only one that's in both segments because I thought it was interesting that they went out of their way to use different Springfielders. They always, for these vignettes, they always dig deep into their benches.
Yeah.
And for the most part, all 3 segments had different people. I like Lenny and Carl showed up in a bunch of them, at least 2 of them. But for the most part, and it was easy to use the school children, that made it a lot easier. But Skinner doesn't appear as a Puritan, which you'd think he would.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point at the start of this segment, which was this one was casted well. You've already got, the kids versus Skinner. That's going to be a
recipe for disaster.
Yeah. They're going to be at odds. Whereas, the first one where it's they're casting Homer as not Marge's husband feels weird. Then even in the second one, they cast Homer and Marge as the Tahitians, and
I feel like even in the thinking about that now, it would have been a good opportunity to have Helen in the first one as kind of judging the other families even
Yeah.
more along, because she's the kind of the judgy, bitchy sort. That would have been the perfect iteration of that type of character.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, any other notes about this segment?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love Marge Simpson, and I love her line when they first introduced Mutiny in the Bounty, and she goes, "Oh, like the paper towels." It's like, of course, that's exactly what Marge would say.
It's funny because like in Australia, a Bounty is like a candy bar, like Mounds. It's coconut in
Yeah.
Chocolate
essentially.
coconut, yeah.
So yeah, that wouldn't play as much for us, but yeah, it's by context you can tell. Yeah.
There is mutiny when you get given a bounty at Halloween.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
And then one other line I did like when they're in Tahiti. There's a guy, they're doing all the cliche, stereotypical tribal stuff, and there's a guy juggling torches. And I love that he was just like, "Isn't anybody going to help?" Like he's not
Yeah.
juggling.
No.
He's actually like in some kind of ridiculous predicament.
Yeah.
And they're all just like shrugging, like, nah.
Oh, I really didn't like the Easter Island head jokes, though. This doesn't look like me. Sorry, Lord Ugly Face.
Yeah.
Critic did it better.
Really just lazy.
Yeah. Any other notes, Jordan?
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry, a couple more anal corners.
Couple more anal corners?
Yeah, I think we all know Easter Island and Tahiti are not the same thing. Like,
I was
they're
going to ask about
yeah.
that because I'm not good with geography.
Yeah. Yeah, well, technically, Easter Island is actually part of it's owned by a South American country. I don't know which one though, so
okay.
I'm not going to attempt.
It's right after Palm Sunday Island.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me like 5 seconds. I'm so sorry. They've done this before in the Simpsons Safari episode, where there's like everything in Africa is all just one big country, and they're all down the road from each other. So it's like all Pacific nations are all the same. It doesn't matter whether it's Tahiti or Easter Island or if it's Polynesia or whatever. They're all the same, which is just, I don't know. I get that they're like 90% of our audience isn't going to pick up on that anyway, so who cares? But I care.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because I remember when we did the Australia episode with you, Jack, we actually said, this could have all taken place in Canberra, and that makes sense. Whereas, Simpsons Safari, that's all over the place.
I mean, especially for an American audience, like Fiji, Tahiti, Australia, we don't know where any of them are. They're all over there.
Yeah.
Actually, and I'm guilty of this as well. You guys know about like the Mandela effect and like how a lot of people think a true thing is a false thing is true. A lot of people think that New Zealand is north of Australia. They think that's what is that, Papua New Guinea?
Yeah.
And I was guilty of this until like a year ago, and I was the second runner up in the geography quiz.
Hey, you knew PNG, and that is I don't think a lot of Australians might know where Papua New Guinea is. So that's positive.
You don't get second runner up sitting on your feet on your toe.
The best one of that I ever heard, though, was Greg Miller, who's like a games journalist in the States. He's like in his 30s. Up until like 3 years ago, he thought New Zealand was in Europe.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. That's Old Zealand.
He's like, no, but Lord of the Rings, it just looks so European.
Sorry, random tangent. I should have brought this up at the top of the show, but since we're talking about New Zealand and the Australian continent here, I brought a Tim Tam to eat for you guys, and I...
oh, nice.
Nice.
and I forgot it at work, so I'll eat it tomorrow. Both of my bosses are Australian, so...
nice.
So there's always Tim Tams. Nah, that's not that nice. But there's,
so good.
you're a lovely people.
Yeah.
They might not.
Have you tried Vegemite yet?
No, never. I never will. No, maybe I will. I don't know. I tried wheatgrass for the first time today. I almost died.
Oh,
so,
yeah. It's like lawn clippings, basically, yeah.
It literally is.
Yeah. If you do ever try Vegemite, don't do the thing that people who are not native Australians do, which is like slather it on like peanut butter
Super
or something.
thick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lots of butter and a scraping of Vegemite, and that's all you need. It's just for like a little bit of salt.
Yeah, it's like Bob Ross when he gets out his knife tool. You just want to scrape it down.
Exactly.
Sorry, Ben, watching a lot of joy with
I'll
painting.
try it. It's the name.
Yeah.
The name sounds very clinical.
And the other thing is, do you drink coffee?
I love my coffee.
Okay, so with the Tim Tam, you can do the Tim Tam slam.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what you do? Okay, you know what? Okay, great. That's another thing
we
to
were
try,
doing
just-
it at work when they were giving them around, but I insist on calling it the Tim Tam Suck because I like making everybody
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
And you got to like make it so that you got to keep sucking until it gets really crumbly and it's just like all gooey, and then you just like shove it in your mouth like a gross, wet, biscuit thing.
So we did it wrong.
Yeah. You got to make someone as uncomfortable as possible. Yeah, exactly.
So for the last segment, they call it Watership Down. Watership D''OHN. Brackets, the Neptune Adventure, parody of the Poseidon Adventure. Overall impressions, what do we think?
They should have called it the Poseidon Adventure.
Ah,
Yeah, come on. It's right there.
Posei Annoy Grunt Adventure. Yeah.
And then they could save the watership down. I'm sure that they'll spoof that if they haven't already.
Yeah.
It had probably a few of the most groans in the whole episode, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Just some really terrible jokes that I was like, God, it's just, there's no point to
No.
this. Stop it.
Nah. I mean, it really should have been Titanic. As much as I love Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
I was nominated for Best Picture Oscar back when the Oscars were very different. And as a fan of that movie, Gene Hackman stars in it, and it's 10 survivors. It's the exact same thing. The ship's upside down. They're in the catering hall. They got to climb up to the top of the ship, but it's the bottom. And I thought it was weird that Selma was the Gene Hackman in this situation. Like, she's the one that's like, we've got to get to the top. It's like, Selma? All right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Which one is that your favorite, the original, or do you rate the remake as well?
I saw the remake. I was not a fan.
Okay.
As much as I love Kurt Russell, as much as I love Poseidon, it's tough. But I think I like the Towering Inferno better in terms of my '70s disaster films.
Nice.
Towering Inferno was one of those like just epic Hollywood movies where it just had every star in it. It's got Steve McQueen like in his 50s. It's got O.J. Simpson, one of his first roles.
Wow.
A couple of comedians are in it, like old school vaudeville comedians. It was like the Avengers Infinity War of the 1970s.
Wow, crazy. As far as a parody, though, because I'm not familiar with the Poseidon Adventure, don't know if you are, Jordan.
I've seen like the original. That's why I was struggling. I said Michael Caine before, and I was way off, and I'm really sorry for that. Yeah.
Gene Hackman, Michael Caine, you know.
Wait, did you say Michael Caine?
I said Michael Caine at first because I'm like, who is it? Who's the
Michael
star?
Caine starred in the Poseidon Adventure 2, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
That's why.
then.
That's
Okay.
so you're right. So that's where it's coming
Okay.
from.
Beyond the Poseidon. Where did they go?
I mean, is it any better than the Poseidon Adventure Dark World? But
Yeah. Tokyo Drift.
he plays a like a salvager, and they come across the ship the next day.
Yeah.
And I guess there's nobody's thought to stay around it, and they go in through the hole that Gene Hackman cut out, basically.
Right.
And they go back in, and they find a few more survivors that were in air pockets and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is why you get your Poseidon Adventure expert on your show.
Yeah. So glad we picked this for you. Yeah.
There's a very famous scene where they're climbing up the smokestack of the ship upside down, and I think it's Roddy McDowell who plays the waiter, and he sacrifices himself, or he loses his grip and he falls the way Lenny dies here.
Oh, okay.
That's a direct parody of the scene. And I actually did like where at first he's like, up is down, down is up. I'm so confused. And he falls, and it's like, eh. But I like Carl was like, no, it's not.
Yeah. It's not that confusing.
That delivery got me.
Yeah. But as a parody of the Poseidon Adventure, do you reckon like it held up as a parody, or?
It's fairly faithful. It's a pretty faithful, like the writer was definitely a fan of the movie.
Yeah.
But what does that get you if it's not a iconic movie? And it was iconic, but it's kind of not lasted through the test of time, whereas Titanic was 20 years later and 20 years newer. But Titanic was much more like, why write a parody for an audience that isn't going to get it? Like, if you do a parody of Airplane or Spaceballs in the theater, if you like Star Wars, you'll go see it. If you like airport movies, you'll go see it. The Simpsons, you're going to watch no matter what. So if you're parodying something that the audience probably isn't going to get, I feel like you're already starting 5 feet behind. I don't know.
Yeah, they tend to do that a lot. There are some references where it's really niche, and I feel like it's them kind of patting themselves on the back, like other people who are comedy writers who've been doing it for 30 years will get this reference.
And there's a way to make it work.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Citizen Kane was when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I love all the Citizen Kane gags in most of the Simpsons classic years. And that's because the jokes are inherently funny without that context.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the problem with this segment is most of the jokes are, just because Lenny falls to his death, that's not necessarily funny, even if I recognize, that was from the movie.
Yeah.
So I think it just suffers. I think if this had been better written and was more funny and came out in season 7, there's a good chance you guys would go, I never saw Poseidon Adventure, but this was great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of all the Treehouse of Horror segments you like that are based on segments you didn't see.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it. And it's the sort of things that, like you're saying, they're inherently funny. And when you get older and you do watch those movies, they become all the more rewarding because you do see the references and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, I still haven't seen The Shining. All right,
that's what we're doing after this.
You gotta see The
Sit
Shining.
down, yeah.
Yeah, so this is like, because this just sort of felt like a weird sketch show to me, this one. Like, was there a family family band in the Poseidon Adventure, and is that where the Simpsons family band's
I
coming
don't
from?
think so. I don't think so. There was 2 kids, but
Yeah.
I think that was more of like a Partridge Family type of. That was the way to get the
okay.
Simpsons together as a unit into the story. I don't think there was there was an old couple.
This was one of my big groan moments for this episode.
Yeah, they didn't really add much. I think they were there because again, it was such a hyper specific parody.
Yeah.
But Shelley Winters played the woman in the movie, and she was a famous, beautiful young actress, and this was like years after her prime, and it was a big deal that they got her. Same with Steve McQueen in Towering Inferno. They got this classic actress to come back, and it's like when Clint Eastwood does a movie now.
Yeah.
And then they picked this not even tertiary Springfield character to play the old Jewish man's wife. And I was like, oh, that's interesting that they don't so they need an older Jewish woman. There really aren't any in Springfield. So they had to basically come up with a new character.
Yeah.
And if the gag is supposed to be she's Shelley Winters was stunt casting in the movie. So why not do stunt casting here? There's not one guest star in this whole episode.
Yeah.
And that would have been a perfect, you could have done a same kind of stunt cast. Get somebody who hasn't been in movies in 20 years, like Eva Marie Saint or somebody. And maybe it's a budget thing. They don't want a guest star, but there's so many unnecessary guest stars on the show. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, they blew their budget on the 3 music cues of Weezer, and then in this one they had There's Got to Be a Morning After.
Yeah.
And there was another one that I didn't write down.
Alone
but-
Again, naturally.
Oh, right, yeah.
Maybe there was a guest star. They read the script. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. They tried to get Gene Hackman out of retirement.
Yeah. So, yeah, any other notes about this segment, Jack?
Burns' capsize pun. I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, all of the stuff. It was like, well, enjoy your fill of pineapple upside down cake and apple turnovers and
Oh my,
what-
yeah. I don't know how I feel about Luigi falling with the soup. I think I like it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were a couple of jokes like that, right? Like Krusty's like, oh, look, a panning out gag. That's good. I'm dead now. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, I'd like something about it, but I guess the delivery or something irked me.
Yeah. And my biggest groan of that whole episode, even more so than the, for me, the Willie row your boat, but in the similar vein, was Wiggum doing the rumba.
For fuck's sake.
That just stopped the whole train in its tracks. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like the wackiest segment. Like I didn't mind the soup and like it falling kind of at the same velocity as him and he knowing it's going to be in danger. But but the other parts of it, like Homer saying, oh, quickly, get in my mouth to the cake. Or like the shark eating the guy and just like sitting there. It was all just really wacky and I didn't like it.
Homer doing the Happy New Year, too. That drove me nuts.
Yeah.
What was that there for?
That was my worst moment. I'm sorry. I thought it was the same as the Wiggum when I was reading my notes, but that was 2 different things. Yeah, Homer, what does he do? He just counts down. He's like, oh, it's still Happy New Year.
Yeah, 'cause she's like, Homer, there's hundreds of dead people. And you 3, 2, what? Stop.
Yeah. There was one weird moment with Homer where he's taking an upside down shit, though.
Yeah, my ass suction is great.
I mean, oh, shit. Did we lose you? Can you still hear us?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, there we are. That joke was so bad that it broke Google Hangouts. Yeah. Actually, that's one of the ones I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I like it or I don't like it.
Well, I just get all Jordan's anal corner about it because I'm like, okay, even if he did manage to hold himself upside down on a toilet, doesn't mean the shit's gonna go.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think of
The
that.
anal corner is, that's definitely an anal corner.
That's the true meaning. That's the most anal of the anal corners. Actually, I just had one other one. Like the rope that comic book guy has to go and tie off. That's like 3 meters of rope.
Yeah.
Or 10 yards for our American audience. 10 feet, sorry. Like, there's no way that's going to be long enough to reach back to them. Anyway.
No,
stupid.
That whole comic book guy bit felt unnecessarily drawn out as well.
That's from the movie, too. That's a direct parody. Parody.
But does he pull out a chicken turkey leg halfway through his swim?
Oh, my God.
Didn't think so.
But, Shelley Winters, they were playing on the fact that she became very overweight.
Okay.
And in the movie, she was an Olympic swimmer or something. But so she was the only one that could make the swim, even though she was old and fat.
Yeah.
So she dies a very heroic death. But so I'm guessing comic book guy, because he's fat, that's why they picked him.
Right.
Yeah.
Very lazy parody work.
Yeah, see, what we were saying about before, knowing that doesn't improve the joke for me because it's still, at the end of the day, it's a lazy fat joke.
Yeah, it didn't even make my notes, yeah.
Yeah.
There was another bit I hated that was like, why is this a thing? Like, you just had to get this character in, which was oh no, this grate is locked. And it's like, I'll use my Swiss Army bone. Like, why?
Sideshow fucking Mel. Started out as one of the greatest characters in The Simpsons that they just overused.
Couldn't they?
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
if it had been like his bone is actually like a handy little like tool bot, like it could open up and there was a Swiss Army knife or something in there, or lockpicking kit or something, like why the bone? Like why unnecessarily wacky?
He has a bone in his head and just got to get him in the episode. And then him doing the whole, we're being saved and now I'm dying. Is it the irony? Oh, the irony. And I don't think that's irony.
The bit that I screamed into my notebook was, just dive in the fucking water. It's right beside you.
Yeah, Sideshow fucking Mel, man. So, yeah, my only other note for this section is there was a good joke that I liked, and it was kind of a callback to Bart picking all the tiger doors from the Lemon of Troy episode, where they're looking at down the different paths they can take. One's flooded, one's on fire, one's got tigers unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I like that as a joke.
I liked it.
Yeah, just because it was like the escalation of like, oh, well, fuck. Yeah.
How about you, Jack? Any other notes for this section?
That's it. And it's kind of kismet that you guys hadn't seen the movie and I had, and it goes to show you that our opinions are pretty much exactly the same. So if anything, it failed as a parody.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. I essentially picked this one at random from the other Vignettes episodes that we had left. Like, how about you, Jordan? Any other notes?
Not on this section, but do you mind? I forgot to actually say a couple of things about the framework.
Yeah, sure.
One was that him picking out the wallpaper at the start, that was just an excuse for him to say, Gilligan hat, fish with boobs, like...
And then Lisa, you forgot the swordfish. Oh, my life. What? Like, this is just such drag-out bullshit.
Yeah. And the last one was about... Well, I'll go get food from a nicer restaurant for you. Like Red Lobster, not that good. And like simultaneously a burn on how bad their food is, but also just Red Lobster is terrible as well. So
it is. I haven't been to one.
It's like every other kind of chain, I think, in America applicable. I don't know. You probably know more, Jack, about like.
So no, I defer to you. I've never had Red Lobster because I don't eat seafood.
I've been there once, and I guess from my experience, it's the same level of quality as like. I don't know. It's like seafood Applebee's, I guess. It's like...
Here's how I see it. I see it as, and I hope you guys, I don't know if you do take offense to this or not. To me, it's the level of like Outback Steakhouse. So like I don't think Outback Steakhouse is fine dining.
No.
But I don't mind. When I go to Outback Steakhouse, I have a good time.
Yeah. I think I like in the ads, those kinds of companies think they're fine dining though. Like the way they shoot, like the steak being glazed with like that brush in slow-mo and like the sauces bubbling on the pots and everything. I'm like, come on, guys. This is not what is going on in your kitchen.
I dropped the ball. Elliot came to New York and I got the pleasure of meeting him and having drinks. I totally dropped the ball. I should have brought you to Olive Garden, true authentic Italian eating, hospitaliano.
As authentic as Outback Steakhouse is Australian.
We should have done a two. Yeah, we should have done an Outback and Olive Garden, and then just shit for 3 days straight.
I did have one more note. When they do this weird crossover of the segments, which conceptually I like, but I don't think they did anything with, and it just turned into this big gay joke about the bullies, and it was just a really shitty way to end the episode.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't a good joke, and especially it wasn't a good place to end the episode. Like it wasn't going out with a bang or a whimper. It was kind of like a wait, what? And then the credits.
Yeah. And it does this weird thing like we saw in Love Springfieldian style where they don't return to the framework at the end, and that's got its own little level of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, did they get to eat or not?
Yes or no? Would you watch this one again?
No, I mean, it's amazing that I saw it when it aired, and it's amazing that this is the first time in 13 years that I've watched it again. So I wouldn't go out of my way.
No, I'm neither.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. There's nothing for me to want to see again.
All right, well, it's time to rank this thing. All right, so Jack, you can kick it off. where are you ranking this thing?
Yeah, in my notes I have participant, but discussing it with you guys, I'm almost wondering if it should be a failure, but there's definitely worse episodes. I'll stick with participant.
Yep. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, is it worthy of a failure? I don't think it is. There are some bad jokes, but yeah, like, you know probably better than most people how bad it can get as well. But
I have stories.
yeah, it's not that kind of bottom 5% of Simpsons. It's definitely kind of in that low quadrant, but it's just a participant for me.
Yeah, I just got to go with my overall feeling of the episode. And yeah, once we finished, it just left me so flat. Like, I was not angry. I wasn't happy. Like, actually, in talking about it with you guys, I'm surprised actually at the amount of jokes that I liked, but I still remember the experience of watching it didn't really give me highs or lows. So yeah, I'm going participant as well.
Yeah, and that's something me and Dan noticed with when we go, oh, you know what? There's more jokes I laughed at than I noticed, but you still comes down to like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's not that many.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
out of 2 minutes of talk, it's not a lot. That's like 30 seconds. That's what, like less than 5% of the episode that you actually liked.
Yeah, and especially with our format where we watch the new bad ones and then watch the old ones, like, we try and put the episodes through the same filter, and it's just objectively true that the classic episodes had just such a high joke ratio.
3 jokes a minute. That was their goal. 3 jokes a page.
Yeah. All right, so that will make this episode a unanimous participant. This will be joining other such episodes as My Fair Laddie, the Groundskeeper Willie musical. So yeah, it'll also another unanimous participant, Prankster Rap, where, yeah, Bart goes on tour with 50 Cent and stuff.
Yeah, do I still have to clean up poop?
Okay, let's go to the park. And Simpsorama, where they do the Futurama crossover, which, that episode is batshit bad.
Yeah.
All right, well, that about does it for the segment. Jack, got some stuff you want to plug for our listeners?
For sure. If your audience still has it in them to watch more bad Simpsons episodes, please check out my show, Worst Episode Ever. That and my other show with Dan from We Studios, 90s Percentile, which is much more talk show based and loosely related to the 90s. Those can all be found at weepodcast.com, WEE podcast.com. My personal Twitter that's usually where I am online. That's at Jackie No Breaks, JackieNobrakes. And if you have a lot of listeners who are into writing and film and TV and stuff, I also do script notes for aspiring writers, and that you can find at my website, mescriptreadgood.com.
Oh, that is such a good website.
You could never tell that you were a Simpsons fan because of that.
No, awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for joining us on the show, and yeah, really glad we could make this work today.
No, 100%. I really do love you guys. Worst Episode Ever has been on a lengthy hiatus, and we're hoping to come back at some point. And we actually do have an episode with you in the bank, Elliot, that I can't wait to get out. We're just waiting to have a few more so we can release like a full season's worth. But when I do get to be on my show, I do try to plug you guys as much as possible because I do think your model is great. I think it's for any Simpsons fan should listen to the Simpsons Index. When we started, there was literally one other Simpsons show, and they beat us by a week, even though we had recorded about 3 months earlier because we were sitting on those. Yeah, killed us that we weren't the first. But now there's like 24 of them, and I think most of them, for the most part, seem to be the same kind of shtick. And I think you guys stick out, not just because of the gimmick and the premise, but because you know your shit. I'm always odd when I listen to your show because you go back and you fact check, which is something we never do. We just fake news the podcast basically. It's just like what's the name of the dad? Gomer? Yeah, that's fine. And I really do think you guys just put out a solid show, and I always encourage my listeners to check you guys out.
Oh, thanks, man. We really appreciate it. And yeah, like, Worst Episode Ever was definitely one of the sparks that ignited my idea of this podcast. What if I can watch bad and good episodes at the same time?
I wish we had thought of that.
I will say, actually, the one other Simpsons podcast which we adore and we've worked with a bunch is Pods in the Key of Springfield.
Yes, I haven't listened to their stuff, but I've been seeing them on social, and they seem like really cool dudes.
They're fucking hilarious, and their approach is like showing what Simpsons fans become when they grow up into adults. It's not so much like a review show like ours. Like,
it's more of a PSA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, just two funny dudes just riffing on
I
the
got
Simpsons.
you. Yeah. So it's not really a Simpsons podcast; it's a Simpsons fans podcast.
Yeah. They very occasionally mention the episodes. Like,
I mean, to be fair, me and Dan don't really talk about the Simpsons on our show anymore either. We just do stupid voices and bits. But
yeah,
no, that's great.
like Hemus.
That's what's great about Simpsons fans is we already have a kind of cultural intelligence that comes with the show. Literally comes from the show. I think a lot of my cultural intelligence comes from The Simpsons, but it gives us a language we can kind of speak on our own. So it is really cool that shows like ours intermingle like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that does it for the second Vignettes of Vignettes. I want to send a big thank you again to our guests, BT Calloway, Danny Rosewell, Jordan Frost, and Jack Picone. And of course, thank you, dear listener, for listening to our show. We'll return to our regular format next week, where we'll be joined by Maddie Dockrill, and I won't tell you what episodes we'll be reviewing, but I will tell you that we'll be visiting the land of chocolate. All right, that's it from me. I've been your host, Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house!
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Take it away, Beach.
Where should he take it?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Simpsons Index, the podcast where we rate and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time. But the catch is, each episode must come from a different decade. And joining me tonight is the actual host of The Simpsons Index, Elliot J. O'Neill.
You stole my bet! You fucking stole my bet!
Luckily, I'm an orphan owned by the studio. We also have Danny Rosewell
I'm Danny Rosewell.
and Jordan Frost.
I'm not. Danny Rosewell. I thought that was obvious. Sorry, I thought it was implied.
He said you were Jordan Frost, and you said you're not.
Also, B- because you said rank and review instead of watch and review.
I don't say watch and review, I say rank and review.
It's a perfectly cromulent
Is
word.
it a
Go look
catch
up.
or a twist? I forget.
I'm going with twist now because people keep saying it's not really a catch, and they're right, but it's like how I say decade. It's not what it is. It's just a shorthand.
Yeah.
No, it's actually one of the 3 predefined eras that I made up.
Yeah.
Mr. Simpson's God. I know. My shit,
wizard
right?
did it.
Call it a 10-aid, and then they can't argue with you.
Well, they can because the first one is only 1 to 9.
Yeah, but it feels like 10 years.
Anyway, real intro now. Coming out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index. What do we call it?